Well, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 788 of Sonic Talk, recording today on the 31st of January 2024. It's that time of year. We're back to, I think I started to use the hashtag NAMMuary just because I thought it needed to be a thing. So yes, NAMM was back in January. NAMM, of course, is the large music retailers convention in Anaheim in California. We've just back from there where we were filming a lot of stuff on synths and production and music software and all those kind of things, which is indeed what the show is about. The show is about synthesizers, drum machines, software, music production, live production, software, all those anything to do with the tech surrounding music, technology, music. Before I get started, I want to say thanks to Wagyu. I think he's there, I'm not sure, but he usually does do the moderation and all the connections behind the scenes. There was a bit of an issue with because I think this computer was in America all last week, so when I set the time for this stream, it seemed to think it was in 8 hours time, which is obviously not correct at all. we're back to our usual time, so hopefully that's all right. Also, before I also get started, I want to say thank you so much to everybody on the Sonic team. That's Andy, that's Chris from Boo, that's Ed, Mira, Jim, and Ben, who was doing a sterling job with the edits, and they all pulled the blinder. So I'll just do my usual Patreon plug, which I will push now. Here it comes. Hey, why not consider joining us on Patreon? Even at the basic layer, you'll get all of our non-show videos posted ad-free and also get access to the Sonic Talk pre-show, as well as access to Discord and other things. If you go up a layer, you get things like, well, I've just posted the Behringer Cobol Expander review. This is an early access. It will be available to you at the lower tier later, but for now, it's only upper tier. There's also posted a little project about trying to figure out sticker tops for the Sonic Talk controller. I got some great suggestions there, which I implemented. There's also a whole bunch of other things. We have samples, we have all kinds of other exclusive videos, quite often a lot of 360 stuff. In fact, we've got an EMOM coming up in March, and there'll be the 360 access to that sort of stuff. Also, if you join us at the end, before the end of the show, your name will appear in credits if you're at the Sonicstate star level. So why not consider joining us? It's very much appreciated. While we're at it, I want to say we will hopefully be posting samples from NAMM. That's one of the things we're going to try and do, is collect some samples of some of that new gear and provide that to our Patreon members. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for listening. If you are already supporting us, thank you. And if you're thinking about it, then please do. It's much appreciated. I should say, actually, we didn't get round to getting any samples. We thought we had, but my tuition, my conveying how to do it to Jim, who was doing it, who kindly spent some of his time. It didn't save any of it, so there's one step missing from that. So I do apologise about that. Nice to see the battery operated orchestra in there. They were Chris was doing some great work on the poster frames and the stories and stuff. Very much appreciated. Oh, and while I remember it, coming up, we have our EMOM, which is on the 1st of March. Let me find the, that's what I'm looking for. Hit that. There we go. EMOM coming up. You can get your tickets there, bit.ly/Sonic EMOM. That's going to be Friday, 1st of March. There will be a live stream as ever, and we've got 7 acts performing there. Also, we've got the winners of the Osmos competition have been announced and notified. We're just going to wait before we fully announce them to make sure they're getting what they need. Coming up is a GeForce Access interview review by Tim Cant, and also just want to congratulations to Paulie and Rebecca on the new baby. Was born just before we went to NAMM, so everybody's well and happy. Lovely to see them all well and all that. Anyway, right, that's all the admin stuff done. Let's get on to our guests. We'll start over here. Let's start with Robin in, well, he's probably furthest away actually, because we have got no internationals. Robin Vincent, of course, Molten Music Tech in the shed, not so cold shed, I'm assuming at the moment. It's warmed up a little bit.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good. All right. I'm nice and toasty next to my heater, so yeah, no, all good. Apologies if you get any sort of like building work, reversing vehicle type sounds. I'm not having a house built. Them next door are having a house built. They're going to demolish that one and build another one there. So that's fun for me. That's along with the chickens. I get reversing noises and general builders going,
all right,
mate. All right, mate. Yeah, all right, I'm over here, mate. I get that all day now.
Kalang. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I understand. I feel your pain. And that's, I mean, surely it's only going to be 10 months or so for a house construction project. Should be over in no time, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, lovely to have you, Robin. We'll get on to a bit more about your YouTube offerings. I think your Molten Monthly was that yesterday? I think I saw a notification.
It was. I managed to squeeze it out. Yeah, I did manage to get that out, which was great. Good timing as well. The end of NAMM, end of the month. Other stuff going on. So yeah.
It's great when it all comes together, isn't it? So,
yes.
Anyway, lovely to see you. And we've also got Yoad Nevo, who's there in Nevo Sound. Nice to see you, Yoad. No doubt you're alt-tabbing between a Atmos mix or something. I'm sure you are. Busy chap in the sound design, plug-in kind of, I guess plug-in design, but as a consultant and all the other things you do. Very busy, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm working on some plugin development, which is very exciting, and I can't disclose at the moment.
That's fine. But
I'm having a lot of fun with it because there's the initial stages where it's just kind of in your head and on paper and things, not on paper, but you know what I mean. And then when you actually hear the sounds, then it's where the fun begins, although there's clicks and whatever and bugs and things, but it's playing sounds. You can run sounds through it. Nice. and hear what it does. So that's where I'm at, which is great.
Oh, well, that's good. I suppose the things when you're developing plugins, the bit where you kind of go, let's do all of these things it could do, and everybody gets very excited, and then the reality of what you could actually feasibly get away with.
I'm working with such a talented team that it seems like anything is possible, which is amazing.
Nice. Well, that's always a plus, isn't it? Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Excellent. And of course, we have Gaz Williams there, who's in Bristol. Gaz Williams, YouTuber, music technologist, bass player, and modular performer. You streaming anytime soon, or tonight, or anyway? Have you got anything in the pipeline?
I think Robin is streaming. Is that right, Robin? At the 8 p.m. slot?
Yeah, you've kindly allowed me to steal your thunder, as it were. So I will take that thunder and mould it and do my own thing, because I just don't have any other time this week, and I usually do one on a Sunday after my Molten Monthly. So I jumped on this evening, and so that'll be good. That's 8 o'clock later on, yeah.
And then to follow up, then at 10 o'clock, I'm going to have a premiere on my channel of the gig that I played with Steve Davis last year on the rooftop in Cardiff City Centre. So that video, and maybe Steve will be joining us in the chat room. But so after Robin's finished, then I'm going to be that's going to start at 10 p.m. UK time tonight. So that's like a half-hour live concert. So
nice. That sounds good. Yeah. Pre-recorded live concert. Yeah, no, I get the feeling. Yeah, premieres are very useful for that sort of thing. It's great when you can just because we often, I think I did it with the Cobol review, where I just sort of thought, you know what, I'll make it a premiere, and I think I did anyway. I can't remember now. It's always good fun when you do that, because you could be in the chat while things are going by. So if any questions come up, you can drop them in. It's a great mechanism, isn't it? Really good. Right, well, there really is no agenda this week because I haven't had any time to prepare. I've managed to load a bunch of videos into the system, but not all of them. We shot 80-something, I think, in the time we were there. All of our systems will go and worked pretty well. I mean, there were a few gremlins. I think, unfortunately, Chris from Battery Operated Orchestra got the worst end of that particular grubby stick. But we fixed it all, or we will have fixed it all, and it's always good to, through adversity comes something or other. I don't know what I'm thinking that word would be. Resilience, perhaps, or something like that. NAMM this week, back to 4 days. Just sort of my initial impressions were really more vibey, definitely much more vibey, more people on the ground, everybody sort of, when I was walking around to begin with, was sort of saying, "Oh, it feels like make or break this year," because obviously there were previous reasons. You know, there was COVID, there was sort of the slowness of the market and things, and now this, and because it wasn't in the same place. Now we're back in the usual slot. It went ahead. You know, what was it like? Did they pull it off? I think the general consensus is yes, and most people that were there exhibiting were sort of pleased that that was the case, because they generally, as speaking, kind of quite enjoy it. We also took Saturday off and we went up to the Booklet and Friends event, which was more of a sort of DIY, low-key kind of affair in a warehouse where we filmed a lot of synth stuff. So that sort of went into the general canon. There's a separate playlist on YouTube which you can access. We shot, I don't know, getting on for 20 videos there. So the whole sort of gamut together sort of felt like quite a vibey thing. I mean, I think for some of the smaller people, because the prices of these big, attending a show like this is expensive, and particularly if you're there for 4 days, it sort of feels like perhaps that's too many days for somebody who's maybe just got a new module. You know, it's quite a long time, and therefore quite a lot of expense if you're doing, hotels and, eating out and all of that kind of stuff. We had a lot of fun. We also went to a synth night on Thursday. I went out every night, which is unheard of for us. We don't normally do that, but we went to the synth night, which was at, I can't remember what it was, Radiant Brewery in Anaheim, and I saw Cuckoo play on a Pocket Operator KO2, which sounded amazing on a PA, I have to say. Had a really good punch and transients. I saw Ken Flux Pierce play. I saw a number of other people who I'm probably going to be throttled for not remembering their names. But as I say, when you do a show, the short-term memory loss is very strong, and I'm still suffering from that at the moment. And I haven't, because I didn't film all the videos or edit all of the videos or any of the videos, actually. I haven't seen everything. So I'm kind of coming over to you guys to sort of say what you think and what you felt about NAMM as a kind of just general from afar. Robin, you be getting all the news and stuff. I guess most of the news kind of came out before. People aren't leaving it till the day of the first day of NAMM to release their products anymore or announce them, although there probably were a few. How did it feel in terms of buzz and kind of feeding frenzy? Did you think there was more interest than previously?
I don't think so. No. Sadly, I suppose it doesn't. It doesn't have anything like the craziness that it did once feel. Pre-COVID, I think. Since then, no. I mean, this time around, again, once the Korg tsunami had passed, there was very slim pickings, and we're kind of sitting around waiting for you to upload your videos, so we can pick through them and find the juicy bits, because there was not a whole lot else coming out. I was scanning Instagram and Twitter and things like that, and there's very little seemingly to come out of the space. It feels. I mean, I suppose. The thing that really stood out for me was this Bookler and Friends idea. I think that was a stroke of genius from Bookler. Unexpected, nice. It gave a space for all the people, as you say, who can't afford a booth at NAMM. So I thought that was a marvelous diversion. But NAMM as a whole, from where I was sat, there was not a whole lot to write about. So no, I mean, I hope it keeps going. I mean, even if it's just for the sake of the guitarists and percussionists and all the other music tech side of things. But for synths, it didn't seem to deliver anything particularly special this time around.
It's interesting what you say, but I think the difference is also because this is something that Roland kind of used to do by going in in September every year. I think the thing is it's not that there weren't more synths there this year. It's just that people weren't choosing to announce at NAMM. Lots of things that we saw were new and hadn't been seen before, and so that we were able to get hands-on with video, and so from that point of view it makes sense. But in terms of like a press release or here's something new from the show, I agree. I think that's different, but I think that's a dynamic that's probably changed when it comes to many shows. I think Superbooth would probably be the same in many ways. I mean, we might see more independent things where it's like, wow, I've never seen this before, probably because they don't have a PR department and they didn't get a press release together, so you've seen it for the first time. So I think I would agree with your approximately what you're saying, but I think there was still quite a lot of buzz because a lot of things were seen for the first time, I suppose, which is a different dynamic to news, I suppose.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, certainly my focus is looking for something which hasn't been seen before and is ideally looking for the release. And you're right, it's perhaps that's changed. So that, because NAMM used to be the absolute center of releases. You would save up your releases, same as sometimes synth companies do for Superbooth, but you would save it up for that event. And then, we'd be struggling to contain all of these releases and to write news about them. So maybe that's the real dynamic that's changed. I mean, hearing from people who went, they all seem to have a really nice time. And so that's, whereas in previous years, I think people have come back a bit depressed and sick usually, whereas this time it's a bit more optimistic, but
none of us got ill, which was good.
Oh, good.
I think also, to be fair, the Buchler and Friends event, while it was a very different place, there wasn't anything new there either, really. So it wasn't like we were seeing new things. It was just stuff that had already, because people, when they're not working towards that January window, then you don't get the feed. There's no need for people to hold things back or whatever. So, but we saw things for the first time there as well, which hadn't been seen before. I think the only thing that was new from Buchler and Friends was the 1010 Music Nano Box battery case, which isn't that thrilling, but I mean, it was particularly new.
But there were the synth dusters. I mean, there was the synth dusters from Null Modular. And the MiG, the tubes that were stolen out of MiG fighters, which I thought was quite good, and the strange hieroglyphs on the front of the Surge Quasar panel, quite like that. I like the idea of Surge. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly, as opposed to the actual reality of it. But the idea of this large panel and this grid format, and how all the modular is actually done behind the scenes more than in you design this faceplate. Which, is really quite interesting.
Yeah, I suppose so. No, that's good. There are a number of other. So, okay, I'll come over to you then, Gaz. I mean, I know that you were probably looking. I mean, I imagine much of your focus was modular as well, because that's what you're currently kind of using day to day, but not exclusively. I don't want to pigeonhole you like that. But
well. One of the things I think I mentioned before you went, I was always, I'm very keen on recorders, not those recorders, audio recorders. And Zoom, of course, announced, I think, what was possibly one of the biggest things in the show, which is the Essentials, the H1, the H4, and the H6 Essential models, which I think, replacing the, the venerable line that have been around for about 10 years or so now. So actually quite in need of an update, although those have been huge sellers, as I'm sure many of the audience will have. And of course, one of the big things there is the facility of 32-bit float recording, and in the way that they're using that you don't set your audio levels, and it's nigh on impossible to clip them. So, and then obviously in post you can set the audio. If it looks like it's clipped, you can bring the peaks down to within, within the sort of 0 dB limits. So I thought that was really cool. And there's three models there, and I'm definitely in the market for something like that. I've been, I was super tempted by that TP7 from Teenage Engineering, which is just ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, well, Teenage had a booth there this year, which is a first for them. I mean, that was certainly for a number of years. They didn't have one in the last couple of years I've been there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Those Zooms, they're very interesting. I think, just a quick aside, the 32 bits of the thing, I thought, that's great, but quite often if something's really quiet, I want to be able to monitor it loudly. So that means I either have to have a way of boosting the monitor level to bring it up to something I can hear.
You can change the monitor level, yes.
Right.
Okay. The audio monitor level, yes, you can. Very good point. And of course, you can actually see the waveforms being recorded in real time, which I think is really quite a nice feature for them as well. So the H1 may actually, I don't know yet whether the converters are going to be the same across all of those H range. So, I mean, I suspect that they will be. And then that makes me think then that the little H1, because the little H1's got built-in mics, but it has actually got a little line input as well. So, just to have a way of recording your jams on whatever equipment that you're using, plugging into that line input and being able to record without worrying about setting levels, without worrying about clipping, I think is a really nice thing.
I just don't know how that works in terms of the A to D, the preamps or whatever it is that the signal's coming in at, because
they can handle, I think, 135 decibels of range, which is, I think, equivalent to just standing right next to a jet taking off. So in terms
but again, it's the quiet stuff that I'm more concerned about, because if you've got to gain it up to get it in, say for instance, I'm using one of those recorders and I'm going into my my DSLR or my phone in a live situation because I'm streaming it or I'm whatever, and I've got to get those levels to be to some degree working. And if I'm adding a ton of gain in the monitor path, is that how noisy is that? Because if I've got, I don't know, maybe I've got a guitar level or a very quiet mic coming in, and at the same time a +4 desk output, and I need to match those for monitoring. I don't really. That's what I'm struggling to understand in how that would work.
So when you're talking about monitoring, are you talking about actually recording the monitor?
Either recording the monitor or using the USB output, which is usually a stereo of a sum of all of those things, which would go into your DSLR out of a mini jack, or if you're lucky via a USB output. So those are the things that I'm kind of like, how does that work?
I was looking for the manual. I couldn't see if the manuals are online yet. They might be, but I was trying to find that information myself. Actually, I'm kind of interested in that too. I mean, I don't think the aesthetics of them are not the best looking, as Zoom seem to have
it's all black, isn't it? It's gone black and you can't see anything on it.
Red button. But they all, I think certainly the H4 and the H6 all gain color screens now, and a few other things. But what else now? Oh yes, so you're going to have to help me now with the pronunciation. The Embodme array.
Embodme Array 2, yes, the Mark II. That's pretty cool.
Looks lovely. I mean, I really.
I'll tell you what. I've got a video for that. Let's do a video for it, and then I can, and then we can use that. So that's, I think that's number 4.
Excellent.
So hi, Hannes. Hi. We are here at Oak Sound booth.
Except that's not it, is it?
At Bloom, right?
Sorry, that's my press. That's my fault. I pressed the wrong button.
Right? So this is a prototype of our new Array 2. So here we're unveiling the product. Those are 2 prototypes and lots of new features. As you can tell, the playing surface is white. It's covered with fabric now, which is very new. It has a very special touch, and we worked a lot over the past few years to have a better sensitivity over the detection of fingers. So I think this is the main asset. If I had to tell you what's new, it's the sensitivity. Is really, really much better.
Can you still hear it with a drumstick?
Yeah, so for the drummers, actually this product will be, the skin will be changeable. So it will be possible to unmount the case and remove the white skin, which is really designed for finger players, and put a similar skin to.
Yeah, the other thing it's got is 10 sets of CV gate outputs, an onboard looper, and the cover. There was some talk about the cover because they put like a continuum style cloth on it, which is quite grainy, and I said that's going to get really dirty. It's going to catch the dirt. But on the other one that was on behind it was a sort of smoother one which you could wipe down, and I think they decided maybe they would go for the one that was wipeable. But they seem to have done pretty good work on that one, I must admit. I don't know what there is. Sorry, Yoad, I should come to you. We'll try and move around a little bit because
I had some points about that though before you moved on from that.
Oh, okay. I was going to move on from it.
After all,
that's all right. That's fair enough.
Because I think we've seen. I mean, this obviously is an MPE controller, and obviously an MPE controller now with all of these assignable gate and CV outputs as well makes it obviously very, very interesting for connecting it to a modular rig, which is something I'm quite interested in. But I think really as well, it's the size of it. It's quite large. And I think, having a playing surface that's large, it's like, oh, fantastic, because everything tends to be small in that way. And to have an expressive surface that is large and configurable, and then with all of that connectivity as well, I think makes it a really exciting thing. And for me, I was going to say that would be my pick from the whole of NAMM. But there we go. No,
that's fair enough. No, that's good. I mean, I think you're absolutely right about that. It's €800, which I think seems incredibly reasonable. That's for all of that stuff and that sensitivity. Doesn't seem bad. Yoad, I don't know if you. I think we might have covered the Earae Touch once. I'm not sure if you were on the show, but it does look like it can't be a pretty cool thing. Although I don't think there's any space on your desk for it unless you get rid of a bank of faders.
Exactly, which I'm considering always. But yeah, I have some really good news, which is that we won a tech award for Clarity VX D-Reverb. Meaning Waves, and that was the last or one of the last products I worked on before leaving Waves last year. So that was really good news.
Oh, congratulations!
Yesterday. Thank you. So that together with the Emmy that we won last year for Clarity VX noise reduction is very nice. I had to say it, sorry.
Nothing like a couple of gongs for you before you leave. It's just the perfect parting gift. I can totally understand why
it just means that now I have to really, the products I work on now, outside of Waves, have to stand up for that. So it's a challenge for everyone involved. The things that stood out for me was the Musonics synth, which is the semi-modular.
The vanilla one.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was the suit and tie guy.
That sounded really good with this distortion thing on the mixer on the output. Sounded really good and really nice tones out of this machine, and also the fact that it's almost like a mini Moog, because I mean it has more features than a mini Moog, but the sense that it's all normal. More like an ARP maybe, but it's normal, so you don't need to plug in anything, and you get like a lot of stuff. And then when you start plugging, you get more stuff, and it sounds really good.
I tell you what. Just to interject there, I can play a short video from that. I think that might be worth doing. Let me just do this. See what happens if I double click on that, and if I do that.
Where you're.
I've just added it real time because I just wanted to say, because everybody was saying it sounded fantastic. And Mark Doty, who worked on the booth, was saying it really sounded amazing.
Hey, what's up, Sonicstate? We're 15 minutes into the future here at the NAMM Show 2024, and I got a new synthesizer to show you. This is not a box of modules; it's an instrument. Because I'm sick of making modules, I want to make an instrument. And this thing rips, okay?
Excellent. I'm
so glad.
Everybody I'm glad it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of like everything about that. I like him, and I like the boxy kind of look of that synth, and the fact that it's not angled. It's like there's something about it which really appeals to me. I like the fact that everything is on 1/4 inch connectors, and really like that one. It reminds me of this Korg. There used to be a Korg, PS something, semi-modular or modular, I think.
Was it 3100 or 3300?
Something like that used to look similar. But this is based on the Oberheim modules, I think, apart from the LFOs, which are Korg or something like that. Anyway, very cool stuff. The other thing is that I was really impressed by is Real Tone.
Reality. Sunset Choir.
Yes. So Sunset Choir. But then I looked at the other stuff because I was not aware of them, to be honest, and they have really, really good stuff. The only downside for me is that it all runs on Contact or inside Contact, which I'm not a huge fan of. But other than that, they have really good content, as we say, in the business, and the choir seems very, very impressive. Also, I like what they did with the Sunset strings. They have something called Nightfall, I think, which is basically they took the recordings or the samples from Sunset strings, which is pure and kind of lush and all natural and stuff, and did some heavy processing to them and almost like resampled them to create another product, which is highly processed and stuff and sounds really nice. The stuff is very kind of tasteful and tasty. So I was impressed by that.
That's the one video I haven't actually uploaded for some reason. But yeah, Mike Green, lovely guy, has absolutely excellent brownies on the site on the booth, which is always a reason to go and film.
The video is uploaded. I did watch the video.
Yeah, it is. What it is, I just haven't got it. I haven't got it here to play. But there was some really nice movement. I mean, he's a great player as well. Mike is a media composer, so he said that those sessions cost like $160,000 they've spent on the choral stuff. Really high quality stuff. I'm just going to pause things there because we do have a message from our friends over at iZotope, and that is RX10, of course. New features, text markers, multiple speaker detection as well. You could bring thin audio to life with upgraded spectral recovery. Remove complex hums and buzzes with the dynamic adaptive mode dehum. All new repair assistant plugin as well to help you, get the best. You can do what you want with sound. It's also available in Music Production Suite 6. The smart solution for clear audio. And don't forget to use the code SONIC10 to save 10% on checkout. We thank them very much for their support. Like the music in that jingle, sounded very epic. Right, okay, sorry, I'm just coming back to it. I think the Sunset Strings was great. For some reason, Sunset Choir was great. For some reason, that was one file that just could not be uploaded. It took us till yesterday to get it online. And I shot it on Thursday. It's really embarrassing because every time someone wanted to upload it, something went wrong with it. It's really peculiar. Don't know why that is. Let's see what else have I got in the list. Because there's a few. I must really show some of the Korg PS3300. And I think I remember when we talked about it in the previous show that I don't remember it being particularly lush. It's an amazing synthesizer, but I think unfortunately you need to know what you're doing, and neither me or Luke, when we were locked in the glass cabinet, really did. So we could only flip presets, and the presets I don't think were showing off at its best. But I'll play a little bit of that.
The bush. This is pretty much the star of the show, isn't it?
It is,
really?
yeah. Let's get serious now.
I mean, wowzer. I don't think anybody saw this coming. It's quite a big deal. I mean, so the Korg PS3300, there are very few actually made.
Only apparently less than 50.
I do know someone who's got one.
Do you?
So I'll probably be able to get a demo on it before I get my hands on one of these in the country.
Yeah.
But so, do you know anything about why and the process, or did it just show up one day?
No, it's been something in development obviously for a while, because you don't just do this sort of thing overnight. So, but it's one of those things where over the years
I'll flip forward, see if we've got some presets.
Exactly.
Let's try, if I may, just so I can touch it.
Of course, yeah.
There, what's this one? Oh, much the same as the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the presets had much time to be, as with many of these things, one of the reasons it was probably in a glass cabinet was because it wasn't really quite ready for prime time. I mean, I would love to spend a bit of time with it, but it's a sort of synth that I think you really do have to get your hands on to try and deal with. I don't know if anybody, Robin, I heard you chuckling there. I mean, it's quite funny, isn't it? It's a terrible scenario. It's only the 13 grand synth kind of making really sort of not very impressive sounds.
It's a comparison between that and the suit and tie guy, He's like acing his demo on his new little synth, and there's this enormous, probably 10 times the price thing over there that just goes farts, squelch, beep. It was dramatically underwhelming. I mean, the first video I saw was from Reverb, I think, and their guy at the end of that tried to have a bit of a go, and it's like, this is like a massively polyphonic synth. Play more than one note, for heaven's sake. But very underwhelmed by apparently that what you need to do is to go to Cherry Audio and download the demo of the emulation that they've done and play with some of those presets. That will give you a much better idea of what it sounds like.
And maybe that will be enough.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, it's an... Yeah.
Because then you'll be able to open as many instances as you like and play as many voices as you like and sequence it.
Well, that's true. That's true. It was a lovely looking thing, I must admit, but it's going to be one of those things that's going to be a little while to come. But yeah, I had to put that because, I mean, that's probably the biggest video we shot at the show. Although a close second, bizarrely, was just we went to Boss and they happened to have 50 years of Boss, and we just walked around and they said, hey, look, here's some of our stuff. And that's another biggest video, and there's absolutely no sound in it whatsoever. It's really peculiar. You just have no idea what it might be that might do that. Any other favourite videos from you guys that I might have in the list?
The PWM Mantis now is sort of in virtually ready now, isn't it? And that was being shown at NAMM, and I think that's a really exciting synth, especially because it's it's so steeped in the history of British synthesizers, with it being the late and dearly
the Chris Huggett thing,
Chris Huggett's, and it's nice to see his signature on the casing of the Mantis. I think it's a really nice tribute to him. So that was really good to see that there, and I think it sounds really good. I think that's quite an exciting synthesizer. But what else was there? I did have a little list. One moment. So, I mean, obviously, I know what it's like having been to NAMM myself, and things. There's so much stuff going on. Oh, good to see that the stylophone there and that seems to have gone over quite well, isn't it?
It went really well. It's a big video for them. And also, do you know they won the stylophone theremin? They won the Tech Award, and they didn't know about it because they weren't invited or anything, and it just showed up the next day on the booth, and they were just over the moon. Fantastic! That's a great little success story there. What else have it?
One that people may have missed is the verbs from Poly Effect. So it's which is
we did shoot those,
and that's nice to see a convolution reverb in a pedal, and knowing that you can put all sorts of convolutions in, not just sort of reverb impulses. So I think that could be a pretty cool thing. What else?
And another thing I would mention, which is maybe not to the crowd that watches this show, is some really tasty looking guitars from Ibanez and ESP. I would be happy to go there just for those guitars. Wow, some of the stuff is they look so playable, and both the Ibanez and the ESP, really good stuff.
Nice. I'm really surprised that neither of you mentioned the this guy.
New features.
For example, this was the video of the show.
It's brilliant. You can use this, and you can. This is a drum pad. Also, this is
this is great.
Drum pad. This is the start, and it's synchronized. crazy.
And this was the good bit. He started that video by doing a cover of Let It Be on the Omnichord. I was terribly excited. He was brilliant, actually. And that drum stuff will output over MIDI, which I think is actually quite an understated little feature there. I mean, it's still $800 for what is essentially an Omnichord. I mean, I think they used to go for quite a lot of money before they were reissued.
They sell for a lot even without any mods or anything like that. It's just a very expensive machine. There's something about it. There's something about the way you play it, which is very unique, and something about this sine wavy kind of tones of the
very tinkly.
I guess it all sounds like it's meant to be like a piano sound, but it sounds more like a, I don't know, DX7 harp or something like that, or CS 1000 or something.
I know what you're saying.
But by the way, there's a new CS 1000 I see by Behringer. That looks interesting as well.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
If it's out yet, but
no, I wouldn't think so.
I think
the
it's
mini
the same
the mini
case.
one.
Yeah, it's the same case as the JP 8000 or the VS Tiny. I love the CS. I used to have the 3000, which is supposed to be the same, but I didn't really connect with it in the same way. As there's something about the 1000 which is very cool.
Okay,
with 4 parts, multi-timbral and things. It was
neat.
Nice.
Sorry, Gaz, you had something else to say.
Yes.
I guess. Sorry,
well, there's a couple of pedals that are worth mentioning. I was talking about Zoom earlier. They also have got a new range of pedals, including the CD. What is it? The CDR70 or something? A new one.
MS70 CDR. Yeah.
MS70 CDR. Yeah. So that could be.
It's not out yet, but it will be. Yeah.
But me and Robin did a stream last week. We jumped into the Sonictalk because we just to have a little pre-NAMM spec. And one of the things I was mentioning on that, and I thought it was really good to see, was the Game Changer audio mod pedals.
Oh, the mod pedals,
I think they're really, really cool. I love the physical design of them and the way that you can patch the envelope follower or the pitch tracker from the inputs to various things, and obviously you could patch across to the other pedals, or indeed patch across from that into other modular synths and the like. I think it again, Game Changer really strive to do things very idiosyncratic in their own way, and this pedal series, I think, continues that and looks really good. I don't know quite how good they all sound, but in terms of form factor, I think really well worth a look.
I did ask whether you could still hack them to get all of the algorithms in the MS70, and he said he was very graceful and didn't say that they turned it off, but so hopefully they'll still be able to do that. A couple of other ones. What was the thing? Oh yeah, Yamaha ESP, which I think is it this?
Yeah. So we're here at Yamaha. Big news, right? Yeah. So this is, we're announcing ESP here at the NAMM show. We released the Montage M about in October, and one of the things that we announced when we released Montage M was that there was going to be a soft synth component called ESP, Expanded Soft Synth Plugin for Montage M. And what's cool about this is that it is the Montage M in software. And here, let me prove it to you. So right now, I'm going to start out, I'm going to go to my DAW remote here, and I'm going to turn on local control. So the first thing you're going to hear is the actual Montage M. And I picked a fairly cool performance here that's called SFZ Tremolo BPM Orchestra. An 8-part performance.
Snappy.
So I love this one because it's got all the big...
Needless to say, I won't play that whole thing, but Blake does a great demo as ever. So ESP is essentially a montage in software. But the weird thing is, when I think this is something that's come up in the comments, is you only get it if you've got a montage. You can't actually buy it. So, which seems so you can choose whether. Yeah, so you can, all the patches and everything is interchangeable. I'm not quite sure what the thinking is behind that. I mean, it feels like it's a dip in the water because obviously Roland have had their cloud going for ages and Yamaha have not touched the software market yet. So maybe this is just a sort of early attempt. Yeah, so yeah, I'm afraid so, Yoad. I mean, it sounded, I couldn't hear the difference. I mean, and why could I? But it was, basically you have a montage in software, pretty much.
That would be interesting for me, because I love those workstations. We talked about it in the past, and but having this beast and having to record every track to audio in real time and this and that, as opposed to have it as a plugin. Well, hopefully they will. I
mean, they've got to do something like that in the end, haven't they? I mean, you'd think so, wouldn't you, Robin? I mean, it's like, okay, you know, it just seems like, well, I've got one. Why do I need this?
Well, I mean, I guess Arturia did it with the Mini Freak, didn't they? They did a similar idea with that.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know,
much lower price.
Yeah. I mean, it's a way of storing all of your sounds, all of your workstation stuff onto your laptops. You can take that away and play with it without having to take a bloody great big keyboard with you. So I suppose it has some ideas. But I mean, heck, Yamaha have such a legacy they could draw upon if they wanted to do virtual versions of their own things. Although, of course, other people have been kind enough to do that for them, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, the TG77 comes to mind.
Yeah,
you know,
and the SYs, all of that stuff. It's interesting, though, isn't it? I mean, it just seems like a curious move. I mean, it can only be a precursor to more stuff, I'd imagine, because I mean, the amount of work that would have had to go in. I mean, I suppose the thing is they've built it all in software anyway. I mean, the only thing that the montage has,
it probably runs on a Linux floating point kind of machine. So it's basically porting it onto a PC. And presumably it's standalone, which is easier to make than a plugin. So maybe it's a kind of a way of sort of having the users of Montage kind of beta testing it for them in a way, or
that's a possibility.
Before they release it as a plugin.
That's true.
There's a couple of things that are quite interesting, isn't it? So Modal were there and alive with the Carbon 8, which was
I was really surprised. We shot a video with Christian, actually. I mean, that's I think they've got announcements coming shortly as to the kind of final new structure and what's going to be happening, but it looks like it's ready to go. The Carbon 8 is going to be in production, you know, I would think. Can you hold that thought while I just play the second of our advertisers, and I'll come back to you for your other pieces straight afterwards. Introducing Guitar Rig Pro 7, filled with new amps, effects and pedals to spark your creativity and shape your sound. Guitar Rig 7 is also available in Music Production Suite 6, your new inspiration suite. You can save 10% with a Sonic 10 at checkout at nativeinstruments.com. Once again, we thank Native Instruments for their support.
I want that MIDI control. That MIDI control.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? That was pretty handy. So sorry, Gaz, back to you. I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I'm just trying to fit the stuff in.
It's good. So also Mackie were there, weren't they, showing some mixers, and interesting because obviously that's a company who've now become part of Rode.
I spoke to them about that. Yeah.
What did you? What was your thoughts there?
Well, actually, I mean, I forget the name of the chap I talked to. He was very eloquent, and I mean, it seemed like one of those acquisitions that felt good. You know, everybody was happy. The Mackie people, you know, there was so many sort of area, because I was looking at some of the products and I was sort of saying, well, aren't these products basically, are you already putting this Rode stuff? And he said, well, no, actually, this is why it makes it such a good fit, because the engineers that are there and the engineers with us are sort of thinking along the same lines. So it's, you know, we can pool our resources. I did speak to Brad, I think the guy name, he did a sort of breathless whistle stop tour of all the products, and there were some really cool things, actually. The the thing for I forgot what the name of it, but the Mackie thing that was for like Stream Deck. It was like a Stream Deck where you could bring in a video file, webcams, USB hub, and a little mixer. There's also a battery powered mixer. There's some pretty good and very well price fixed stuff. Actually, it wasn't at all
HDMI input
expensive,
on it, didn't it?
Yeah, throughput, and it throughs at 4K. But it records at 720. But it's also got a USB hub. I think they had in the demo I saw they had 3 webcams and a screen feed into it. And it all just kind of seemed to sort of work, and it was, like $299. It was pretty, it's not as expensive as an 8M and it's not as fully featured because it doesn't have the Fairlight engine, but there's a bunch of stuff there. And I think, if I remember correctly, the mixer has DSP on board, so you can do, so there's channel processing as well, and they've got all of their new stuff has kind of intelligent mix miners for bringing stuff back in. It just seems like they've kind of thought about it a bit. It seems pretty good, actually. I don't know if anyone else got to see that, but Mackie, you're right. The Mackie stuff was certainly felt quite well positioned, and when you combine it with the Rode stuff, yeah, I think there's going to be some really good things going on there.
And then there was the III, or what is it? III speakers, the wireless.
So I asked them about that. They're called III, and they're wireless speakers, stereo pair. You get a little dongle with it. They run for 10 hours, and they're just sort of. I don't know. I couldn't testify to the sound. I didn't really hear them in an environment that would let me know. But you get little. They both fit in a bag about the size of a 14-inch laptop, something about that. And there's a pair, and it's just a pair of studio monitors that are wireless. And I think they said it was 16 milliseconds.
Too much.
So I don't know if that's.
It's too
much.
That's
too much for playing. Maybe you can get away with playing pads or things like that, but to play anything like guitar or anything like that would be really, really frustrating.
I would like to check that, because there were other instances that were 16 milliseconds that it may have been less. But watch the video.
Because you have to add that to the native latency of your DAW anyway, which you would presumably be using on a laptop environment.
Right.
So
I see what you mean. I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember if that's correct. I that will be the caveat. It may have been less. It may have been 6, but I just don't remember. But yeah, they were pretty nifty. I'm trying to see if I find it. I could find the video, but I'd have to find the bit where I ask him what the latency is. So I'm afraid I can't remember that. But 16
maybe someone at the chat can find out.
Oh no! Yes, in fact, no, you're right.
Yeah, I see someone saying it's 16 milliseconds.
Chris says, there you go. That's Chris, who actually probably wrote the news story to go with it. Yes, so we both remember correctly. Thank you very much, Chris. Very much. I'm assuming it's Chris and not Bree. But 16 milliseconds, I suppose. So yeah, but it was nice equipment. But yeah, I don't know how you could get it any less, because it's got to go. It's essentially going through some form of audio driver as well, Gaz. So I think anything less than that is going to be just tough. But going back to the Mackies, there were lots of Bluetooth inputs and outputs and handy things for that sort of stuff, which was kind of cool. And they had a little powered speaker which had a Bluetooth input, and it was a remote little thing that you unplug and run on a Cat 5. So you're running your PA from this little Cat 5 mixer, which was kind of cool. It didn't do audio interfacing, but it did. That was so yeah, worth checking out the Mackie range. Any other highlights, Robin? Have you got anything else that you would care to discuss? Yuhi Zebralet, surely.
Oh, what? Who?
Did you see that? The Yuhi Zebralet 3. Yuhi.
No, I didn't.
3. That was.
No, that's a freeware plugin, isn't it? Yeah. I'm too professional for that kind of business these days,
My goodness.
I have to pay for stuff.
The sound of those oscillators was astonishing.
Very impressive.
It literally, he was playing it. It just sounded like he was doing this with a splash cymbal right next to my ear. I was like, wow, the complexity of some of those harmonies, really impressive. That's got to be worth a mention. Anything else? Yes.
I did like the 4MS Catalyst sequencer / controller back to fronty module. I thought that was quite interesting. I know it's based on one that came out a couple of years ago from another company, so I ought to know more about it, but I don't. But I think it's a module. It has 8 outputs. It's reversible, so you can take the faceplate off and put it up the other way up, load another firmware, and it becomes a controller as opposed to a sequencer, or a sequencer as opposed to a controller. And it's sort of scene based with a big crossfader. So you create these scenes, which if it's like the controller version, you can have all sorts of different voltages coming out of those 8 outputs, and then you kind of scan through them with the crossfader through different scenes and settings. So it's like a massively morphing fader thingy. How the sequencer thing works, I still haven't quite wrapped my head around that. I couldn't work out whether it's 8 individual sequences or one sequencer which is outputted in 8 different outcomes. But anyway, similar idea, lots of notes coming out, and you can scan through it with this crossfader, which then takes you through these different scenes. Or you can leap from scene to scene through the button pressing as well. So it sounded like a lot of fun to me. And you get 2 for 1. I mean, you can't argue with that, really. Although it's going to be a faff, to take it out of your module mid-set, take it out of your rack, change the face, put that back in, stick it back in. All right, I'm off again. But interesting idea. I mean, I guess they took the catalyst from the people who made the first one and then came up with a new firmware for it. Maybe that's how it developed. But I don't know. But it seemed like fun to me.
Yeah, I didn't shoot that one, so I don't have any first knowledge of it, of that particular module. I mean, Ed got to do most of the modular stuff because he's got more knowledge about that sort of thing. But I missed that one. I'm just trying to think what else there was. You see the baby.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, the Modbat Meridian. Yeah, Ed filmed that, and there was Baby Audio Atom, which is. But do you remember the? I'm trying to remember what it was. We did a thing where somebody had created this experimental physical model, which was mass spring interaction network. Do you remember it had kind of massive ball bearings and springs between them? You could build them and you sort of tap them virtually in places. That's what Atom is built on, apparently. That very stage. So they took that. I forget the name of the guy who did it, but they took his concept and they built it into a soft synth, and it did. And they only had one patch going, but they just on the spur of the moment go, oh yeah, what the heck? Well, because it was supposed to be one of the pre-rolls for our all our advertising, and they changed it at the last minute because it wasn't ready. And then when we went to the show, they said, oh, you know what? Let's just show it anyway. What the hell? They were very cavalier about it. So that I can't remember whether you were on that show, Yoad. Do you remember that it was this sort of weird network of like spheres and springs that you'd built in a 3D environment, and it was very early days, but it had all of these.
I don't recall anything like that. Sounds like physical modeling kind of stuff, which resembles the Hacken the Egan matrix, which is also.
It's only built on springs, and it's springs and balls. It's like really very specific kind of physical modeling rather than
sounds interesting.
Bows. It sounded pretty good. What else was there? I've got my list here.
Did you get any opportunity to talk about MIDI 2.0? Did you see Pete's presentation
I did. I didn't see his presentation, but we did have a chat. He showed me a version of Cubase which was running MIDI 2.0 and it allowed the resolution. Was it life-changing? For the well, not for me specifically. I mean, it was interesting. We did this thing.
PC users. For Windows users.
Yeah, I think it was. It was running on a PC. I don't know if it runs on the Mac because obviously Windows, it's built in. They are building it into the OS release, which will be coming soon this year. You know, that kind of MIDI 2.0 that they've been kicking into the long grass for the last 5 years, it's getting closer and closer. And I saw a couple of really interesting things with MIDI 2.0. I did have a chat with Pete. There's another bit at the moment. And he suggested, I spoke to the other chap afterwards. I've forgotten his name right now, but he said, just ask him, what's the point of MIDI 2.0? Who gives a crap, basically? And so that's how I opened it. And he said, well, you know, all these vendors are coming on board. You know, they're talking to Apple to bake it in. So as soon as it's at OS level, then it's going to really start to come. I mean, I think the problem is there's so much successful MIDI 1.0 hardware out there that can't ever take advantage of MIDI 2.0, that it's going to be a slower uptake. I did see, I've forgotten the name of, there was a few sort of ancillary technologies around the place, and they were showing a keybed, which was a little like the Osmos, but not an Osmos, which had continual velocity, continual aftertouch all the way down. So you could touch the key and it would make a noise, and then you would have a control all the way down, and it would be a very high resolution. And they just had an octave of it, which they were demonstrating the tech, and they said they could do that at a very affordable value. So I think it's going to be all coming. I mean, I think what was interesting is, you know, you look at these primarily French developers who are doing, you know, Osmos, Ire, and there's a few other ones as well. I forget the ones that I'm thinking of at the moment, who are creating their own sort of resolution and ways to create these highly expressive instruments that hopefully will at least be able to sort of engage with MIDI 2.0, but they're doing it in their own world. You know, it just seems like it's sort of outside of the standard. So it's still a little way to go, I think.
I would say that for people like myself, people who develop sample libraries, it's a nightmare, because once you have 16-bit velocity, which means 15,634 steps rather than 128, and then you have to sample everything to comply with that resolution. Obviously you don't, but people will expect more resolution than in the velocity domain, which is
challenging.
So more sampling hours.
So the sample libraries are going to get bigger. That's a very valid point. Yeah.
Well, they need to come with an AI assistant that works out the interpolation between the different samples. That's the answer to that. Replace everything with AI. That's always the answer.
Yeah, I'm sure that will probably work pretty well. I mean, I think it will. I'm just seeing what else I've got here in my list. Did Zebralette, Carbonate. My favourite demo, actually, when I was doing it, I think was this one, which I'll just play.
Where you're hearing it now, live.
Ricky Tinez.
So we have a little pattern here. I'll deactivate.
And this was the analog heat.
That's the syntax pattern
effects
there.
Plus effects.
The analog heat's really
the stuff
special
that was coming out of it.
I can activate it and go into our heat section here, turn up our mix.
There's some stuff a bit later on.
Is this compared to where there's another
where he's just basically putting a kick and a hi-hat into it,
and when you do is you get
before there was no before, and you can actually adjust. And just getting this kind of stuff out of it, it was absolutely.
You can see it down.
I have to say, I was really impressed with the transformational nature of that. I mean, Ricky just did a fantastic demo, and it was great to talk to him. But it was, I guess I hadn't really paid much attention to the analog heat plus effects. It just seemed like, oh yeah, but having those delay, reverb, and filters in there, which are it's really mind blowing. I mean, you probably are aware of it. You've got the original, haven't you? Or did you get the plus effects as well?
Yeah, the Mark II, not the effects one, but yeah, that would be great to have built-in effects. Oh yeah, lust-worthy.
Yeah, I mean, literally, what he was doing, you could literally have a kick, 4 on the floor, and a hi-hat pattern, and you could pretty much do an entire set just on the analog heat plus effects, and probably hold the floor quite reasonably with it if that's what the audience were after. Yeah, it's quite astonishing.
Yeah. But also interesting to see that Electron not bringing out a new product at NAMM. Sorry, that was the Buchler event, wasn't it?
That was the Buchler event, yeah.
I mean, that being the most recent product, when that's been out for a year or so maybe Electron may have something to show at Super Booth with any luck. It's been fairly quiet on that front. So
yeah, no, that's true. I mean,
big news for new Electron, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I think I was there last NAMM, I filmed them, and they had, I can't remember what it was. It was a beta of something. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was one of the what's the connection thing that they've got, where all you can basically automate everything. Overbridge, yeah, it was something to do with Overbridge and a new factor in it, but I can't remember anything else. What else have we got here? Anything in the chat? Oh yeah, we've got the Relic. Jacob Shears and the Relic was there.
Oh wow!
I met
really
his mum and dad and him. He's incredibly
He's got to be in his 40s now, though, isn't he?
No, he's not.
He doesn't need his mum and dad there anymore.
No, I think he's 17 or 18. I don't think he's over 21 yet. And they were there, and we were on Saturday night at our usual kind of pool bar. Now I'm going to have a few drinks. And he just came up and was like, literally, it was like hairdryer just at me about all of this stuff. And I think his mum came up and said, Jacob, I think we should leave Nick to have to enjoy his drinks now. So they're obviously looking after. I mean, I think the thing about him, he's obviously massively intelligent, but I think he's probably lacking in a few social skills, as so many synth developers are. Lovely guy. I didn't go and film it. Jim went and filmed a whole bunch of stuff with sounds, because we've had talking several times, so that we do have a sounds only video coming up on that. So I know people will be pretty excited to hear about that. So yeah, that was good. What else?
Entropy and Sons, seeing that
I did see that. Yeah, I did, and I was going to try and get hold of it for you and bring it back, but it didn't work out because I thought it'd be great.
It's nearly ready, isn't it? But
yeah, I don't think it is quite. So
the video synth.
Yeah, that's the video synth. Really amazing thing, actually, but it's been in production for quite some time.
And the Mez was being shown, wasn't it, in the Buchler and Friends event? And a friend of mine, Ryan, he's recently got hold of the Mez. So
is that another video synth?
Yes, but actually what's worth noting about it is it's a Bluetooth controller that there is then an accompanying app that you can use a Bluetooth controller for. But why I think it's of interest, as a MIDI Bluetooth controller, the Mez, it doesn't need to be used just for this video software. It can be used for any application. And there were a couple of things of note that's worth mentioning about that. It's just like a handheld rechargeable battery sort of Bluetooth MIDI controller, but you've got like 8 knobs around the outside, and you can push the knob, any of the knobs, and you'll go to that page worth of parameters, and there's a really good color feedback. And the reason why I was mentioning it, it's got a haptic control. So if you're holding it in one hand, and when you turn a knob, you can feel it bumping until you reach the maximum, and then it stops kind of bumping. They're endless encoders, but you can understand where the ends are via via haptics, or rather a lack of haptics. It's bump, 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 bump. No,
Seems like you could have done it just as easily with a ring of LEDs and probably less moving.
There are LEDs. There's an LED ring as well. Yeah. So I mean, I that's why I'm mentioning it. Really, I mean the Mez video looks incredible actually, but just the hardware alone is probably worth looking into if you are interested in wireless MIDI controllers, because it's very, very neat.
Oh yeah, well that's another thing. They're going to be baking in a new wireless MIDI network protocol into MIDI 2.0, which is going to be again, so it'll be much higher resolution. I guess it'll have all the query business and all of that kind of stuff. So that's, in terms of network communication, that could be very useful. And obviously we've used RTP. I think they're baking RTP in, but they're also this new network MIDI protocol, which again, I suppose will mean everybody has to update their software and stuff to deal with it. But it could mean that things move on a pace, because we use that here quite a lot, network MIDI Pro. In fact, am I using it today? Oh, no, I'm not using it today, but I use it. I have used it. I don't think we use it so much, but you can send that over a LAN and a WAN as well. So it can be pretty useful for control. What else? I don't think I've got anything else in my list here. Did the Oak Sound Bloom adaptive tone shaper, which is Oak Sound do a thing which is kind of interesting, because they're moving in towards, I don't know if you've seen their stuff. They've done some of their stuff as real time, so it'll process much of these things in an actual real time fashion, which I think is probably getting quite exciting for people doing live sound, obviously, because if you can run a whole a real-time processor. What's the other thing that they did? I can't remember what they're, Smooth, wasn't it, or Soothe? That they've done that as real-time as well. So so I guess this is just another one of those, which is kind of useful. Aside from that, I think I'm kind of pretty much I've dumped everything I have in my head, unless anybody's got any other points to put in, or is anything in the chat room. No Roland. Roland were not there. Boss were there. And who else wasn't there? There were a few more people there than usual, but not as many. It felt like it was more of a corporate level event because that's the kind of money you need to be able to pull it off. Although there were a number of smaller people, I think you can do it reasonably cheap. I did speak to Corey from Modbap, and he was saying, see these chairs here? I bought them for $12 each because when I wanted a chair for the booth, they wanted to charge me $250 to rent one for the weekend. And it's like, so those are the sort of things, but those are the sort of things that have to be dealt with at this level. You know, that's kind of why it's harder for the smaller ones. And the other thing that was quite interesting is ACC North Hall, which is kind of a new area, is traditionally where all the software and the pro audio is. Now there's an entrance at that side of the building. A lot of footfall goes through there. That's because when you come up the main drag to NAMM and you walk in the front, there's like this huge foyer with, you know, halls A to E. And you walk in and you're just like, oh my goodness, you know, where do I go? It's so overwhelming. Whereas, so this is actually quite a good idea that they bring people through ACC North, which is much more sort of manageable, sort of a bite size of NAMM, and then you can kind of do that, and then you can go elsewhere. So I suppose that's working for them.
On a little different tip, actually, this is just something that I was playing around with yesterday, and I think it's interesting. There's a new web browser, I think it might be on Android, certainly on iOS, called Arc Search. Have you heard about it?
No, I've not.
So what happens is you treat it like a regular browser, and when you do your search, you can get your results, and I think in a typical way, or you can hit a button that says browse for me, and then it uses AI to search through your web results, and then it'll then deliver like a page, like a specially kind of custom made page of results based that presents the information. I'll do a little example just to show you on here. So let's think of who is Nick Batt?
Oh God. Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that at the moment. So
okay, so I could just do go and get my normal results, but I'm going to hit the browse for me, and then it uses 6 web pages to and then, you know, it sort of brings you, there's a picture there, background. Nick Batt is a British music producer and director of Sonicstate. And then you get you know, all this kind of information presented, and then, you know, you keep going, and then down at the bottom you get dive deeper, and then you get all the links that are pertinent. So the information is just kind of being filtered, and so far in the various ones that I've tested on it, it's actually really, really good. Completely not relevant to NAMM, but I just thought it's a new thing. But it does kind of avoid advertising. So I think if your website
for the moment,
yeah, I suppose it's free. Interesting.
But just in terms of it presenting the information that you're looking for, I asked it. I'm trying not to treat it like it's sort of chat GPT and trying to treat it like you would just normally use a web browser. But I've been playing around with sample and hold in modular. So I just asked it about, you know, any tips about using sample and hold within, you know, a Eurorack system. And all the information that it presented was really solid and really good. I mean, it was stuff that I kind of knew. But,
interesting.
You know, yeah.
No, interesting. Well, one thing that's on my list for this year is to dump the entire Sonicstate news database and every video we've ever made transcription, and make an expert large language model that is just for Sonicstate data, because I'm sure that would be useful for something. So that's but I don't know where to start. But I think it should be viable. I just need to sort of figure out how to do it. I think it can be done with smaller tools, and, you know, there are kind of tools available. So that's one of my tasks for this year, because I think it could be quite useful. We could use it for our own summarizing, because at the moment, one thing that we have been doing with the videos, when we shoot a video at NAMM, we transcribe it into the full transcription, and then we get ChatGPT to summarize that into 2 paragraphs of what was said and what happened in the video. And if you get the prompt right, you can make it reasonably, you know, so that's why there's been a certain sameness perhaps to some of our some of the words that go along with the articles, but generally most people are watching the video rather than the article. But it means that we can post the news article in, you know, in super quick time, and it still summarizes the data very effectively. Obviously you need to add stuff like links and whatnot, but it's quite clever stuff.
I am having one really puzzling thing at the moment. So with ChatGPT, if I go into this thing where you can talk to it, hello, how are you doing? And it uses these, you know, let's see. Okay, how are you doing, ChatGPT?
Hey there. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Right.
How about you?
Right,
What's
okay.
on your mind today?
Well, I was just wondering why you keep speaking Welsh to me without me speaking Welsh.
Oh, I apologize for that confusion. I'm here to chat in English.
Okay.
Sometimes there might be a mix-up, but I'm all set to chat in English with you. What's on your mind?
Right.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Etc. Etc. What happens is, I'm enjoying this. I'm having this little too, and then he just starts speaking Welsh to me, and I am absolutely baffled as to why that is. It didn't do it then, just on, you know, typically.
No. Okay. Wow.
But
well, there's obviously
really,
still
really
some
strange.
kinks to be ironed out, isn't there? So
Yeah.
fascinating. Right. Yeah. I don't want to keep you too long because we're over our hour allocation. So thank you very much for everybody for joining us. Thanks to our audience for hanging in there and this rather free form. And thanks to you guys for picking out. I mean, because there was a lot. You've probably watched more videos than I have because I've filmed them and I've not edited them. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Once again, thanks to the team for such sterling work. It was a brilliant effort, and I think we managed to make it. I think the poster frames are excellent. Thank you, Chris, and it really makes the whole output look more professional. So, Robin, you're streaming tonight. What's the subject of your thing?
The subject is just to go over the Molten Monthly a little bit to see if there's anything that's particularly interesting people want to talk about. I've also got an EMOM tomorrow in Norwich, Rumsey Wells, which I need to come up with something for. So I might spend a little bit of time coming up with the patch for that. So that'll be fun. Right. That's generally the plan, and to drink some beer. That's about it.
Sounds like a great way to spend an evening. Sounds like I think I might drink some beer tonight as well. We'll never know. And I guess, Yoad, you're probably heading off to back into your whatever project you're currently working on that I'm sure you can't tell us about.
Not for too long tonight. I'll spend another hour or two, but yeah.
Okay, well, lovely. Thank you very much for joining us. And Gaz, you're premiering your live event with Steve Davis tonight at 10, right?
Yeah, great. So I'll be in the chat room, and then so please pop along if you're interested to see what we were up to. It was in that particular concert, we were experimenting with a more of a techno-y kind of thing, which we subsequently have swerved away from. But
interesting. And don't forget, if you're interested in tickets for our EMOM, which is on March the 1st, they can be found right there. So just go ahead and pick them up. We've got most of I think the acts are all confirmed now. So thank you very much. Osmose competition. That's not the Osmose competition, is it? It's the Sonic EMOM. I've obviously forgotten to update that one, so beg your pardon. I knew something would go wrong, but it's pretty minor when it comes down to it. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to all in the chat rooms. Thanks to Wagyu. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye.